Welcome to this explainer. You know, if you really look around, every single day, billions of people wake up and step into an invisible, heavily rigged economic arena. They think they're just going to work, paying their bills, and, well, living life. But in reality, they're unwitting players in a pretty brutal psychological experiment. We're stripping away the generic advice today. We aren't just going to sit here and tell you to save more money. No way. We're going to look deeply at the actual psychological anatomy of financial failure. So you have to ask yourself, are you playing a rigged game? Most folks don't even realize they might be actively defeating themselves right now. They aren't losing because they don't earn enough money. They're losing because their own subconscious minds have literally been weaponized against them by modern consumer culture. People are out there battling invisible, toxic habits that completely drain their wealth before it even begins. Let's actually define what we're analyzing from our source material today: the millionaire's survival game. The stakes here, they couldn't be higher. And it's wild because the rules are never explicitly taught in schools. The prize is true, absolute financial autonomy. But the penalty for losing? It's a literal life sentence of economic anxiety, dependency, and trading your health for a paycheck until the day you die. People lose this game because of these unseen toxic financial habits that just bleed their potential dry before it ever has a chance to compound. All right, let's dive into our level map to expose these hidden landmines. We're going to cover the mirage of affordability, systemic financial blindness, the single-engine trap, asset-liability confusion, and finally, the exact strategy to transition to absolute financial dominance, the redemption strategy. Okay, level 1, the mirage of affordability. There's a catastrophic error in financial psychology happening all around us. The system brilliantly tricks your brain into focusing on a tiny, fragmented micropayment instead of the massive macro liability. I mean, the financial system absolutely loves the phrase only $99 a month. Why? Because the monthly payment mindset looks at an income, looks at a payment plan, and just decides, sure, it's affordable. But the true affordability mindset? That mindset knows that unless you can buy an item multiple times over in cash without hurting your investments, you mathematically cannot afford it. Our source material puts it so powerfully. You are locking up your future income before you've even earned it. Buying things based on monthly payments is really just lifestyle inflation on credit. It makes you a complete slave to your cash flow. If your income stops for even a single month, boom, this entire illusion completely collapses. True wealth creators, they stop buying things just to look rich to people they don't even like. Moving right along, level 2, systemic financial blindness. This is that psychological pain that makes people completely avoid their financial reality. Think about it. How many people treat their finances like a nagging toothache they hope will just magically go away if they ignore it long enough? They swipe their cards and deliberately choose not to look at their banking app out of sheer guilt or anxiety. But in this survival game, that kind of blindness, it's fatal. What's really crucial here is that to actually win, you must practice radical financial transparency. You have to identify and stop these silent leaks that bleed your wealth engine dry. Unused app subscriptions, late-night emotional spending, those sneaky hidden convenience fees, they quietly drain your capital. And remember, capital flows away from chaos and toward order. If you don't know exactly where your money goes, you're basically flying a plane in a storm with no dashboard instruments. You just can't optimize what you don't measure. Next up, level 3, the single-engine trap. Society completely conditions us to believe that getting a stable, corporate 9-to-5 job is the absolute peak of financial security, right? We've all heard it. But from a structural design perspective, relying on just one income source is incredibly dangerous. It means your entire economic survival relies on a single point of failure. If an algorithm changes, a company downsizes, or an industry is completely disrupted, your income can drop to absolute zero overnight. So the real game changer is how wealthy individuals view themselves. They see themselves as diversified economic ecosystems. They don't just see themselves as employees. They use their primary job simply as seed capital to build automated assets. Things like index funds paying dividends, digital content assets, real estate, and scalable side hustles. When you have multiple income streams flowing into your ecosystem, you no longer make decisions out of desperation or fear. You make them out of strategic choice. Which brings us to level 4, asset-liability confusion. This addresses a massive intellectual error that keeps people working so hard but staying economically flat. It's a brutal, deep financial science definition. An asset puts money into your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket.
It sounds ridiculously simple, right? But most people put their expensive clothes, their electronics, and their cars on their mental balance sheet as assets. The truth is, your personal car loses value the second you drive it off the lot, and it demands constant maintenance. It's a liability. Even your primary residence is functionally a liability unless it's actively generating rental income, simply because it demands continuous capital outflow. The middle class accumulates liabilities. The wealthy accumulate real assets.
So if you want the premium items, you have to play the game like the wealthy do. It's a specific cycle. Step 1, aggressively accumulate real income-producing assets first. Step 2, let that asset generate cash flow. Step 3, use the cash flow to fund your luxury toys. You never, ever buy a premium vehicle or a luxury watch with your hard-earned salary. You buy an asset first, and you let the asset buy the toy.
And that leads us to the end game, the redemption strategy.
To really break out of the matrix, you must completely pivot your daily internal monologue. You have to shift from a consumer dependency to a wealth producer's calculation. Stop looking at an item and asking, how much does this cost per month? Instead, start looking at it and asking, how many hours of my future freedom am I sacrificing for this object? I promise you, that mental shift alone changes absolutely everything.
So here are the exact steps to transition. First, face your numbers with total accountability. Stop hiding from those bank statements. Second, stop buying depreciating status symbols. Just stop. And finally, invest in compounding assets. These daily, quiet choices, they are acts of absolute rebellion against a system that wants you compliant, heavily in debt, and totally dependent on your next paycheck. I want to wrap up this explainer by leaving you with one vital question. Will you choose long-term freedom over short-term gratification today? The millionaire survival game isn't won by some sudden stroke of luck. It's won in the quiet, everyday decisions. Take a hard look at your life right now. Identify which of these toxic habits is holding you back, cut it out with surgical precision, and start building your empire.